Hi, good evening. So for a change tonight, I've decided to go ahead and do something a little bit different. Recently, I got this magazine from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. I know it comes out backwards in the camera. Its title is Good Medicine. It's published quarterly by the good Dr. Barnard and his team. And this month, they're talking about cheese addiction. Cheese addiction is definitely something that I see a lot of in the clinic, and it's one of the main reasons why people have a difficult time sometimes going from a vegetarian diet to a more plant-based diet, because they essentially say, what about the cheese? And so tonight I wanted to simply read this article to you and just listen in and enjoy. All right, and of course this article is by Dr. Barnard. So first off, it starts off by showing, you can see the young kid looking up at the baited cheese coming up. And in the corner it says, researchers at the University of Michigan surveyed nearly 400 people to determine what foods most commonly cause them to lose control. Cheese pizza topped the list, beating out everything else from cookies and ice cream to chips and chocolate, of all things. Sherry knew that something had to change. After years of gradual weight gain, she found herself in the hospital with a life-threatening list of conditions: unexplained chest pain, elevated blood pressure and cholesterol, and type 2 diabetes. Determined to take control of her health, Sherry began attending a vegan nutrition and cooking class that was designed to help reverse heart disease. She immediately dropped meat and eggs from her diet, and her symptoms quickly improved. Within a year, she lost 35 pounds, and her cholesterol fell to the point that her doctor stopped her cholesterol medications. That sounds familiar. But one nagging problem remained. No matter how much success she achieved when she stuck to a vegan diet, and no matter how hard she tried to stay away, one food kept reeling her back in. Cheese. Grilled cheese. Macaroni and cheese. Feta-topped salads. Cheddar-filled burritos. She couldn't seem to get enough. A 2015 study confirmed that cheese addiction is all too real. Researchers at the University of Michigan surveyed nearly 400 people to determine what foods commonly cause them to lose control. Cheese pizza topped the list, beating out everything from cookies and ice cream to chips and chocolate. Participants in the Physicians Committee's research studies often report the same problem. When it comes to improving their diets, cheese is the most difficult habit to break. It's a chemical dependency. What makes cheese so addicting? It turns out that cheese has several components that work together to make it a recipe for a diet disaster. Look at it this way. Have you ever tried to eat just one potato chip? Not so easy. The human brain is wired to seek out foods that contain salt, a necessary nutrient that was once difficult for our ancestors to find. Humans also seek out foods that contain fat, a trait that once protected us from famine or starvation. The brain especially craves foods like chips and cheese because they contain megadoses of both salt and fat. But cheese also contains other compounds that keep people coming back for more: caseomorphins. These morphine-like compounds are derived from a protein found in milk called casein. Evidence shows that when people consume dairy products, caseomorphins attach to the same opiate receptors in the brain as heroin and other narcotics do. And incidentally, breaking away from the article, that's also why people who eat a lot of cheese have more constipation, because that same caseomorphin binds to those opiate receptors in the colon and slows down the transit of food in that area. So, all right, back to the article now. Presumably, caseomorphins trigger the brain to release dopamine, which floods the body with feelings of reward and pleasure. It's this dopamine release and the warm, fuzzy feelings that people get afterwards that keeps them hooked on cheese. So, why does milk and cheese contain addictive opiate-like compounds in the first place? It all comes down to biology. Just imagine if a human baby or a calf didn't want to nurse. Their survival would be in question. Casomorphins allow the baby's brain to associate milk with pleasure, rewarding them for nursing. This system works. Today, more and more Americans are hooked on dairy products than ever before. A century ago, cheese was practically non-existent in the United States. In 1909, the average American ate less than 4 pounds of cheese each year. Today, an average American eats more than 33 pounds of cheese every year. This massive rise in cheese consumption is one of the top driving forces fueling the obesity epidemic. Like cheese, obesity was rare a century ago in the United States. By 1970, about 11% of the population was obese. Today, that number stands at 36%. The cheese industry and the U.S. government have spent millions of dollars tapping into cheese cravings. The U.S. government accepts about $140 million per year from the cheese industry, which it then pumps into Dairy Management Incorporated, which is a corporation that's overseen by the USDA, whose purpose it is to market cheese and dairy products. DMI, the Dairy Management Incorporated, spends millions of dollars every single year working with fast food chains to develop cheesy, high-fat menu items to promote to the American public. For example, Wendy's Cheddar Lovers Bacon Cheeseburger and Pizza Hut's Ultimate Cheese Pizza, which featured an entire pound of cheese in a single serving, are just two examples of the DMI and the federal government at work. Again, breaking away from the article for a second, I remember also back in the 1980s, McDonald's used to have a garden salad, and it used to be carrots that were shredded and put on top of it. And then at some point, they replaced those carrots with, guess what? Cheese. Alrighty, so probably another impact from the DMI. Alrighty, so why does this matter? Cheese is an unhealthful food. It's loaded with calories and is about 70% fat, has a percentage of the calories. Most of this fat is in the form of saturated fat, which can lead to insulin resistance and raise blood cholesterol levels. Cheese and other dairy products are actually the top source of saturated fat in the American diet. To put it into perspective, one serving of cheddar contains as much saturated fat as 8, count them, 8 slices of bacon. Man, that's a lot of saturated fat. With the amount of cheese that Americans eat, it's no surprise that heart disease is the nation's leading cause of death. On top of the cholesterol-raising saturated fat, cheese is packed with cholesterol itself and a huge dose of blood pressure-raising sodium. While a typical 2-ounce serving of salty potato chips has about 330 milligrams of sodium, a 2-ounce serving of Velveeta contains 800 milligrams. Then dairy proteins, which are highly concentrated in cheese, have also been linked to a host of other conditions, including rheumatoid arthritis, allergies, asthma, migraines, digestion problems, acne, and more. Cheese and other dairy products also come with an extra dose of hormones. Because milk often comes from a cow who is pregnant, it contains traces of estrogens or female sex hormones that surge during pregnancy. And again, that's another issue that's new to this day and age. It used to be that you would get a bunch of milk after the calf was born and so forth. So there was a lot less estrogen, progesterone, all those female hormones in the dairy of 20, even 30 years ago. Nowadays, they have specially hormones and other genetically modified in the sense of selective breeding, so that these cows are able to produce milk all year round, which is desirable for the dairy industry, because if you've got a cow that's not giving milk, it's not profitable. And so they have changed it so that the amount of hormones is way, way, way higher than it ever used to be in the past, incidentally. All right, so again, cheese and other dairy products also come with an extra dose of hormones. Because the milk now often comes from a cow that's pregnant, it contains traces of estrogens, female sex hormones, that surge during pregnancy. Studies suggest that traces of these hormones can affect our health. One Australian study found that women who consume the most dairy products have higher concentrations of sex hormones circulating in their bloodstreams compared with women who consume the least. Additionally, dairy consumption has been linked with a variety of hormone-related cancers, including breast cancer in women and prostate cancer in men. Studies also show that dairy consumption may even play a role in infertility. Catherine, an Air Force aerospace engineer, loved cheese, macaroni and cheese, cheese pizza, double cheeseburgers, which she ate for breakfast. And for years, Catherine suffered from a condition called endometriosis, which caused excruciating pain during her menstrual cycles. Even though she wanted to have children, her doctor recommended a hysterectomy as the only solution. Before agreeing to the procedure, Catherine half-heartedly decided to seek the advice of a nutrition counselor, who recommended she try a plant-based diet and set aside the cheese, meat, and eggs. Although Catherine missed cheese at first, she stuck with it. She quickly felt remarkably better. She lost weight, and her severe pain soon became manageable. After 6 weeks, she went back to her doctor, who was shocked to find that her endometriosis had almost completely regressed. She no longer needed the hysterectomy, and today, Catherine has 2 children. The Cheese Trap. In his most recent book, The Cheese Trap, Neil Barnard, MD, reveals the latest research about cheese, the dangerous addiction that's harming your health, and presents a simple program to help you lose weight, gain energy, and improve your overall health. The book is available for pre-order at the PCRM.org/cheese, which also contains healthy, delicious plant-based recipes by Drita Burton. And they have a picture in here of the new book, which is coming out soon. So I guess another good book to have to the library, especially if cheese happens to be a issue as well. And speaking of the plant-based diet for the periods, I can chime in that I've also seen something very similar. I had a patient many, many years ago that basically told me that she was entirely plant-based, and when I asked her how she became plant-based, her answer was that she had tried everything else for her painful periods, and that was the only thing that actually worked, and it worked very well, so she was continuing it. And within a week, I also saw Dr. Greger's video that really confirmed that, because he basically was presenting some of the research studies that showed that a plant-based diet also relieved menstrual cramps, so that tended to stick in there. Anyway, hope you enjoyed tonight's reading, and again, this was the Winter 2017 volume of Good Medicine, a magazine that's published by the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. So, hope you enjoyed, and good luck breaking the cheese habit if that happens to be an issue for you or somebody that you love. All right, bye-bye, take care.